We have next 20 minutes to 25 minutes. We have wonderful talk by my dear friend and a financial expert in India, Dr. Satya Vaddi. So, can I invite Dr. Satya Vaddi? Are you ready? Yes, yes, sir. So, I welcome Sri Dr. Satya Vaddi. Already we have given introduction, and he is in. I think I must read his profile. ఆయన క్వాలిఫికేషన్ చదవాలంటే 1 కిలోమీటర్ ఉంది సార్. ఎంబీఏ, ఎంఆర్ఏ, సిఎస్, సిబిఏ, పీజీ, డిబిఏ, సిసిఐఓ. I don't even know the full form, sir. So, an investment banker, Stanford seed consultant, mentor, board advisor, social entrepreneur, WBAF senator. What is the WBAF, sir?
World Business Economic Forum.
World Business Economic Forum. So, and he's, as I already told you that he's also an advisor to Niti Aayog, and Modi Gardi, Dr. Satya Vaddi Gardi, same day birthday, and he remembers and he sends the same greetings that we both are born on the same day. And he's also advisor to our T-Hub and governments and many companies board of director, and he's a venture capitalist and a REIT fund expert, real estate investment fund, and from 5 crores to 5,000 crores. If you want funding, he can really help us. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Satya Vaddi garu. And ఆయన మన తెలుగు వారు రాజమండ్రి, అండ్ అన్నిటికంటే ఆయన ఇంటి పేరు వడ్డీ, అందుకని ఈ ఫైనాన్స్ అండ్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్లోకి వచ్చారు ఆయన కెరియర్ కూడా. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్. ఇట్స్ ఓవర్ టు యూ.
థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ వండర్ఫుల్ ఇంట్రడక్షన్. అందరికీ నా నమస్కారాలు. ద మూమెంట్ ఐ రిమెంబర్ రియల్ ఎస్టేట్, ఇట్ టాక్స్ అబౌట్ 3 things: people, planet and prosperity, because it's all about that when we talk about real estate. I was invited to talk about real estate investment and funding opportunities. But before that, I'm a very optimistic guy, because when I talk about funding, it's always about being optimism. I'm always a dealer of hope, because that's all about real estate. When we talk about real estate, it's always about hope and delivery. So if you look at Indian market, the whole world is looking at India right now. Indians are moving, pushing the world forward, because it took almost 60 years to become a $1 trillion USD economy, and 7 years for the second trillion economy, and 6 years for the third trillion economy. So next 25 years would be a massive opportunity to grow wealth for next 25 years. Why is that? If you look at, we have the second largest population in the world, and average age is around 28 years. We have around 48% of the population below 28 years of age. And we have the largest second population in terms of internet usage. And third important thing, the technical know-how which is there in India. And we have a lot of foreign FDI investments which is happening. A lot of investments have been pumped into Indian market. And if you look at India right now, maybe next by 2030, we will be, in terms of real estate, we would be somewhere around 1 trillion economy. That would be the market size of Indian real estate. So next 15-20 years, what I wanted to convey is the golden opportunity. Manam history lo chinnappudu chadukune vallam kada. I think few people are familiar with Telugu. గుప్తుల కాలం, బంగారు కాలం, గోల్డెన్ పీరియడ్, అదే శ్రీకృష్ణదేవరాయల పీరియడ్, గోల్డెన్ పీరియడ్ అని ఎట్లా అనేవాళ్ళమో, నెక్స్ట్ 10 years అంటే ఫ్రమ్ 2020 to 2035 ఇట్ వుడ్ బి ఏ గోల్డెన్ ఏజ్ ఫర్ ది ఇండియన్ రియల్ ఎస్టేట్ మార్కెట్. ఎందుకు, వై వెరీ స్పెసిఫిక్ అంటే, ఇఫ్ యూ లుక్ ఎట్ లాస్ట్ ఇన్ 2021, I think 13.1 billion has been invested by NRIs in Indian real estate market. 13.1 billion has been invested by NRIs in Indian real estate market. That's the kind of opportunities which is there. So when we talk about real estate segment, see, buildings and cities are vital for economies and societies, right? So see, the real estate drives the people. It's a vehicle where it joins people together, where we lead the businesses. Don't think that Satya is giving because I was invited to talk about investment opportunities. So when we talk about investment opportunities, first thing I always remember is, because I have been in underwriting credit in banks, financial institutions, and various boards as an underwriter. Lot of people, they always look for funding. But what I convey is, before approaching any financial institutions, any banks, any VC firms, the builders need to understand few basic things. What are the basic things? And if you wanted to attract investors, if you wanted to attract financial institutions, if you wanted to attract banks or NBFCs, what is that you need to carry right now? Why does a VC firm invest in our project? We need to attract, right? Lot of VCs, they invest to grow a business, not to start a business. That's the basic fundamental which needs to be understood. So how do you attract investors? So I will talk about few important things, underwriting concepts, which needs to be understood. Chala mandi naku, lot of people, real estate promoters and the chairman or MD, they keep talking, saying that my CFO will take care or my GM finance will take care. Why should I understand that? And why should I learn that knowledge of finance? But dear founders, because you are the karta, karma and kriya of a business, right? So you need to understand the basic underwriting principles when you wanted to approach any financial institution. The first basic thing is character. What do you mean by character? The character of a builder is very much important for the lender, right? When we talk about character, what is it? Your focus and discipline on the project, your past history, your trust factor which is there. So please understand, whenever we talk about financial institution, what is that? Because I am a lender. Earlier I was heading Aditya Birla Capital. I used to study the corporate finance and PE for them. What is that I used to look when underwriting a proposal? First thing I used to look about the character of the builder. So please do understand, character is very much important. That's the reason a lot of VCs, they do PD, personal discussions. What do they understand during the PD? The character of the promoter. So when you approach a financial institution, you need to talk about a character. You say them that 20 years back, I started a business in a small town or a small project. Talk about that. So what's more important here? Character. And second thing, you need to talk about our capabilities or capacity. What do you mean by capacity? You need to talk about our past history. Do you have a capacity to start this project? Tell them, I started in a small way, doing a small plotting business at XYZ village. With my experience, with my learnings, then I started this project. So people need to understand that you add an experience in this segment. So you need to talk about capacity. And third thing, you need to talk about the capabilities. Who is your team? Who is your technical team? Who are our contractors? What kind of team size do you have? So a lender has to understand what kind of capabilities do you have. And fourth important thing which you need to discuss is what? Cash flows. Why do we invest in a business? What kind of profit are you making in this real estate business? What kind of margins? How can you service your EMIs, which is very much important? How long will you repay this entire loan? So all the lending institutions, either banks, financial institutions, what is important for them? Cash flows. How will you service the EMI? When will you repay back this invested amount? My dear friends, because I see a lot of people, a lot of founders, they don't have control on the cash flows. They always look at only profitability, but it's not profitability which is important. Yes, profit is important to the organization, but in terms, you also need to look at the cash flows. What are the future cash flows generated by this entity? So when we talk about cash flows, one that is over, bankers or financial institutions, they always look at credit. When you talk about credit, what do you mean? Have you taken any loan in the past? Yes, it can be even a personal loan, car loan, or a credit card. What is the repayment? Is it repaid in time? Because we need to understand your credit history. Is there any kind of loan, OD which has been taken by the builder? Yes. Did he repay in time? So what is more important here? Credit history. Don't think that I'm giving a lot of gyan, but see, people need to understand how to raise funds, how to attract funds. That's the reason why I'm talking about this particular subject. When Bhagavan garu, he told me very crystal clear, Satya garu, please educate. See, this is a discussion, a knowledge session, more than talking about investments. So I'm talking about, it's more like a knowledge which I'm sharing, which I have been practicing since 20 years. Once this credit is over, we always look at collateral, right? What do you mean by collateral? So in terms of real estate funding, there are two options. Either the builders, the developer will own the site, will own the land, so that this will be pledged to the lender. It can be a bank, it can be a financial institution, it can be alternate investment fund houses, or a venture capital, PE firms. So what kind of, is it 2x of the loan amount? Generally, banks and financial institutions, they look at 2x of the loan amount. So what would be the LTV, loan to value? Is it 2x or 3x? One, this is over collateral, and we also look at contribution. What do you mean by contribution? See, generally what happens in India is, normally a builder or developer applies for around 90% of the loan. This is where the failure rate is very high. They only dump or invest around 10%, 10 to 15%. Frankly speaking, as per RBI norms, it should be 60-40. 40% is contribution from the promoter and 60% is from the banks and financial institutions. But in India, the reason why a lot of developers are failing is their debt-equity ratio is in between 3 to 1, which is very high. So what should generally be? Around 30 to 70% would be the ideal DSR. And what do you mean by that? So what is promoter contribution? And so if you look at DPR, if you look at a financial statement, ideally it should be around 30%. Out of that 30% contribution, around 10 to 15% is promoter's margin, and balance advance sales, right? So generally banks or financial institutions, they always look at least, if not 40-60, they always look at 30-70% would be the ideal contribution. Once this contribution is completed, the underwriter, the financial institution, will always look at control mechanism. What do you mean by control mechanism? How do you diversify or assess the risk control? What control does the promoter have, does the builder have on the project? Say I was talking to someone and right now, what is the supply chain management? How do they handle the vendors? What control do you have? What kind of technology are you leveraging? Today, people are talking about technology. See, we are talking about, I think, real estate 5.0. When we talk about real estate 5.0, it's all about artificial intelligence, big data analytics, machine learning, industrial IoT, and all this is there in prop tech, right? So what kind of control, what kind of technology are you leveraging? How do you connect with builders? How do you connect with vendors? How do you connect with end users? So we need to understand all that control mechanism. And the other more important is, how do you collaborate? What do you mean by collaborate? See, what one can do, two can do better, right? How do you collaborate with your partners? How do you collaborate with the other directors? How do you collaborate with your end users? What kind of mechanism? What is the marketing strategy? What is the sales strategy? How do you leverage? And once this is over, collaboration, we'll also understand what is the credit ask. What do you mean credit ask? What kind of funding are you looking for? What is the quantum of loan amount? So my dear friends, please do understand, as a promoter, as a builder, as a developer, you need to understand all this terminology, which is very much important. Because if you look at, capital is the bloodline of any business. Particularly if you talk about real estate, it's very much important, right? It's not an asset-light mechanism. If you talk about startups, what is their initial investment? It's more their IQ levels, concept. But when you talk about real estate, it's more of large investments. You need to raise capital. It's something like, even though you have a car, if there is no fuel, you can't reach the destination. So in real estate, you need more of capital. So capital is very much important to survive. If you look at the process in which we look at real estate process, it's more about the number one, which is important for a builder or developer, is value creation. What do you mean by value creation? So are you creating a product which is required as a need or want by an end user? That's the beauty with real estate, right? You create some value. You create a product. What is it? Which is required, which is in need by the end user. So the first process in real estate is value creation. And second thing, marketing. How do you reach? How do you attract the end user? How do you add value? You need to have a proper marketing strategy. And third important is sales. Do you know what is sales? How do you convert from leads to a prospective customer? Or how does a customer pay for a product? And the fourth important point in real estate, the process is value delivery. Because I know a lot of real estate, I was reading an article, it says in Hyderabad, I think there are 120,000 properties which are unsold in last 3 years. Because they have committed, but they couldn't deliver. A lot of properties are in the stage of 60 to 70% unsold. So, value delivery. Have you committed as per the commitments? And the most last final process for the real estate is finance. When we talk about finance, why do we all do business? There are 4 financial objectives in finance, right? For every real estate builder. What are those 4 financial objectives? Profitability. I know there are a lot of builders here, developers. Can you write 4 financial objectives of a business so that before me talking or lecturing or giving a gyan, I think there are some builders and developers here. Write 4 financial objectives of a real estate company. Bhagavan garu. I think he has gone out. Can someone share the 4 financial objectives? Yes, please. Creating community, okay. Second important thing is, when you talk about finance, liquidity. When we talk about liquidity, how will you service your repayments, EMIs? How will you pay back your workers? How will you pay your electricity bill? How will you service all the employees? So what's more important? Right, thank you. Liquidity. I need to speak in Telugu also. Right, okay. Liquidity అంటే ఇప్పుడు మనం లోన్ తీసుకుంటున్నాం. How will you liquidate? How will you repay? మనం ఒక ఆఫీస్ సెటప్ చేసుకుంటున్నాం. Can you pay your rents? Can you pay your electricity bill? Can you pay your employees? Can you pay your staff? How will you service your EMIs? అది కూడా important when we talk about financial objectives. Third important thing is efficiency. When we say efficiency, what do you mean by efficiency? We recruit staff, how efficiently are using your team? And fourth important, when I talk about financial objectives, it's about scalability. How scalable is our business model? See, we start doing business with around 20 flats. And maybe in future, 2 years down the line, we need to talk about big numbers. We need to talk about scalability. Is the business scalable? VCs or financial institutions, they only invest where there is scalability. So whenever you are approaching a banks and financial instrument, you need to understand all these underwriting concepts. So there are different investment. See, if you talk about financing options, there are 3 things basically: debt, equity, and alternative investment. So what do you mean by debt? When we talk about debt, it's a plain vanilla loan. It's like a project loan where you approach a bank or a financial institution. You would submit either a JDA agreement or a own land. Based upon that, they sanction you a project loan. Right? It's a pure vanilla debt where you need to 2+3 or 3+3, we call it as 3 years as moratorium and 3 years as repayment, where project period, loan term period would be for around 6 years. It's a pure loan where you need to pay back after 3 years before the handover before OC is submitted. So it's a plain vanilla case. And second thing, we call it as equity. This is more interesting case because in India, if you look at 80% of the project loans are through debt and only 2 out of 20%, 11% in the form of equity and 9% in alternative investment financing. So what do you mean by equity? You give a project, take an investor, you dilute equity, and you will be a partner in a business, in a growth story. So there are a lot of PE funds. Recently, we raised around $30 million USD for a Hyderabad-based real estate company, and we are currently working on $50 million USD for a Bangalore-based commercial real estate proposal. So there are a lot of PE firms which they wanted to venture into Indian market, but There's a huge gap in South India builders and developers because only I think 10% of the real estate builders in India are professionally, they're managing their accounts very thorough with a thorough professionalism. There's a huge gap. So if you're looking for any equity, I think there's a good opportunity. And third investment option is alternative investment financing. When we talk about alternative investment financing, it could be either REITs, it's through REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust, or there is second option called as AIF2, Alternate Investment Fund House 2. And there is third option which is called as NCDs, Non-Convertible Debentures. These are the three options which are available in the market. But see, if you look at, you need to attract investors in all these three cases. What kind of IRR do you make? Generally, if you look at AIF, Alternate Investment Finances, it would be with a higher coupon rate. If you look at debt, from PSU banks, it would be in between 8.5 to 12.5%. When you look at equity, they always look at IRR of around 20-21%. And when we talk about NCDs, or when we talk about alternate investment fund houses, generally it would be in between 14 to 18%. So a lot of people ask me, what is the best option? See, I always prefer, if you look at a chess game, it's like playing a chess game. When you talk about debt, it's like pawns, right? So generally, I always prefer debt. If you can get debt at a better rate in between 8 to 12%, I think that's a wonderful option. And equity, when we talk about equity, it's more like a queen in the chess game. We need to use it very cautiously, very careful, but when required. Yes, if there is a good option, if there is a good FI which is planning to invest in our real estate project, I think equity would be a very good investment opportunity. And third option is alternate investment financing. It's like a knights. So you know knights move in L direction. If you can't get a loan from a bank because of some external factors, if there is no equity firm, and the third option is alternate investment financing either through AIF2 or NCDs. Yeah. So non-convertible debentures, definitely they only look at a coupon rate. If there's a good project, if you can't get a funding from your regular banks, I think that would be the best option in alternate investment fund houses. I think my time is over. Thank you all for patience listening. I wanted to take questions from our side. If you wanted to ask anything in terms of credit, underwriting, financing, or let me be more interactive rather than giving a gyan from this side. Thank you. Over to you.
Sir, there's a question. Banks approve, deliver loans under standard guidelines. How do we raise funds for non-standard projects like managed farming, automated farming?
Let's say now I want to do the managed farming. Like I want to accumulate 100 acres and then manage farming for people. దానికి నాకు ఫండ్ రేజ్ కావాలి. బ్యాంక్స్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్తే సే దిస్ ఇస్ నాట్ అండర్ అవర్ గైడ్ లైన్స్.
అటువంటి వాటికి ఏంటంటే సార్, అంటే ఇనీషియల్గా ఫ్రెష్ బిల్డర్ కానీ ఫ్రెష్ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్కి ఎవరు ఎక్కువగా ఆల్టర్నేట్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ ఫండ్ హౌస్లో స్పెషల్ సిట్యుయేషన్ ఫండ్ అని ఒకటి ఉంది, SSF కేటగిరీ అని. సో వాళ్ళు ఏంటంటే అంటే ఎక్కువగా యూఆర్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ రిసార్ట్ టైప్ రీసెంట్గా మేము ఒకటి చేసాము. స్పెషల్ సిట్యుయేషన్ అంటే రియల్ ఎస్టేట్ స్పెషల్ సిట్యుయేషన్ ఫండ్స్ అని ఉన్నాయి. వాళ్ళని అప్రోచ్ అవ్వాలి. కాకపోతే ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే మీకు చెప్పాను కదా, NCDs కూడా ఇన్వెస్ట్ చేస్తాయి ఇటువంటి రిసార్ట్స్లో, బట్ కూపన్ రేట్ ఎక్కువగా ఉంటాయి. యూ నీడ్ టు ఎక్స్ప్లోర్. అంటే బ్యాంక్స్ టిపికల్గా ఏముంటాయంటే ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ న్యూ బిజినెస్ మోడల్, అంటే బ్యాంక్స్ కూడా ఫైనాన్షియల్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్ రీసెంట్గా మేము వైజాగ్లో ఒకటి రేజ్ చేయించాం. But he is a Cat A, Cat B builder, where he has done around 10 to 12 projects in India and South Indian market. But meer cheppin daniki, we need to have a detailed study. But there are fund houses like Special Situation Fund okati, REIT Opportunities Fund and okati undi. Kotak వాళ్ళు కూడా recently Kotak REIT Fund and okati raise చేశారు, where they invest in resorts and other thing. You need to explore, rather than looking at a plain vanilla debt fund, you need to explore other alternate investment finances.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, Andy.
Sir, one more question. Why do the real estate projects get delayed or fail indefinitely from your experience?
Sir, ఇందాక చెప్పాను కదా, there are 5 important things which are very much important in real estate. First thing is value creation. You need to add value, and marketing, sales, and value delivery. Value delivery ఏంటంటే, let me talk in Telugu. నేను హైదరాబాద్లో గత 8-9 years నుంచి I would have funded more than 5,000, more than that అండి. సో 60% ఆఫ్ బిల్డర్స్, ఐఎమ్ నాట్ డిస్రెస్పెక్టింగ్ ఎనీ బిల్డర్, ఇక్కడ ఈరోజు భూమి పూజ చేసేస్తారు, అప్రూవల్ తెచ్చుకుంటారు. ఈ ప్రాజెక్ట్ ఫండ్ వచ్చే లోపలికి అంటే రెరా రాకముందు ఏం చేశారంటే 4 ప్రాజెక్టులు ఒప్పేసుకునేవారు. ప్రాజెక్ట్ 1కి వచ్చే డబ్బులు దే యూస్ టు డైవర్సిఫై టు ప్రాజెక్ట్ 2, ప్రాజెక్ట్ 3, ప్రాజెక్ట్ 4. ఏది కంప్లీట్ అవ్వలేదు, డెలివరీ చేయలేకపోయారు, ఇట్ గాట్ డిలేడ్, కస్టమర్స్ గాట్ పిస్డ్ ఆఫ్, అండ్ దట్స్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ద మెయిన్ రీజన్. రెరా వచ్చిన తర్వాత కూడా ఏంటంటే ఇందాక ఏంటంటే కమిట్మెంట్ ఏంటంటే రియల్ ఎస్టేట్లో ఫోకస్ కావాల్సింది క్యారెక్టర్ అన్నాను. వెన్ వీ టాక్ అబౌట్ క్యారెక్టర్, ఇట్స్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ ఫోకస్ అండ్ డిసిప్లైన్. సో ఏంటంటే ఫోకస్ అండ్ డిసిప్లైన్ కూడా చేంజ్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. ప్రమోటర్స్ ద మూమెంట్ దే గ్రో బిగ్, 2-3 ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ వచ్చినప్పటికీ 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th అక్కడ చేయాలి, ఉన్నది ప్రాజెక్ట్ కంప్లీట్ చేయరు. అలాగని చెప్పి దేర్ ఆర్ గుడ్ బిల్డర్స్. నేనంటే ఐ బిన్ ఇంటరాక్టింగ్ విత్ క్యాట్ ఏ, క్యాట్ బిఏ కాదు, క్యాట్ సి బిల్డర్స్ కూడా. సత్య ఇది స్టార్ట్ చేసాము, లెట్ అస్ హ్యాండ్ ఓవర్ దిస్ ప్రాజెక్ట్, దెన్ ఐ విల్ గో టు ప్రాజెక్ట్ 2. మేమే వెళ్ళేవాళ్ళం, సార్ ఐఎమ్ రెడీ టు ఫండ్ దిస్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ అని చెప్పి. సో దాట్స్ ఎ డిఫరెన్స్. అండ్ ఆ ఫోకస్ అండ్ డిసిప్లిన్ రాకపోవడం వల్ల, ఆ వాల్యూ డెలివరీ సిస్టమ్ లేకపోవడం వల్ల ఇట్ గాట్ డిలేడ్, దే గాట్ స్టక్ అప్, దే గాట్ పిస్డ్ అప్, దే ఆర్ బ్లీడింగ్ రైట్ నౌ. I don't want to mention their names in Hyderabad and Bangalore markets.
So we have wonderful discussion again on this. So మీరు ఇంకా అడగొచ్చు, 1-to-1 కూడా interact అవ్వచ్చు. So thank you so much.
But bottom line, Venu garu, what I wanted to convey as a friend, and Venu Bhagavan garu is more like a friend, he is a brother. South market lo, I think నిన్న ఏదో ఎకనామిక్ సర్వే రిపోర్ట్లో చూస్తుంటే there is less than 1%, అంటే less than 1% of the people have availed either equity or alternate investment finance mechanism, and less than 1%, particularly Hyderabad market. Why? Ante they lack that financial discipline. Ante I'm not talking about financial, when I talk about financial discipline, what I wanted to convey ante there should be a professional books andi, and promoters and need to have the control on balance sheet, income statement and cash flows. నాకెందుకు మా సిఎఫ్ఓ చూసుకుంటాడు, జిఎం చూసుకుంటాడు, జిఎం ఫైనాన్స్ చూసుకుంటాడు అంటే కాదు. You need to have, as a promoter, as a founder, because you are the karta karma kriya of your business, you need to have control on these 3 balance sheet, cash flows and financial statements. Thank you so much.